This is where we hold them. This is where we fight. This is where they die. Earn these shields, boys!
Through the white thunderstorms, we ride on the back of our truckers in a field of strife. Sons of gold, hearts made of fire, conquering lands, fueling our desires. Soaring engines and lightning in our eyes. United we stand, our strength won't compromise. From the east to the west, we sail every road with our warriors. Never feel alone, landscapes of freedom. Beneath open skies, the promised land where our spirits arise. We battle the storms and tides of the sea. Now we've arrived in the land we're meant to be.
My
Welcome
ears.
to the DragonShip. I'm your host, Paul Bauer. This is the only panel show on the internet where we fully believe that a rising tide lifts all ships. Joining me on the panel today, we have my man Wraith down at the bottom there. What's going on, Wraith?
Oh, not much. Just working on the experiment. So.
Oh, the book.
Yeah.
Experiment? Oh, okay. Yeah. That's been fun. If you guys don't know, we're all writing books under Thor's dominant masculine presence theme. So you guys are going to get a lot of information coming up here.
We could certainly talk about the encyclopedia coming up if you guys want later. No worries. It's open. So
Yeah, we could talk about that. AJ, what's new with you, man? You're on mute, by the way.
Not a whole lot, man. Getting some lowball offers for this place as I try to sell it. I am, though, 146 pages deep into our project. Now I just got to go back through, reread it, edit it, add in my own stories, and I'll probably be about 150, 160 pages said and done.
Good. Nice. Yeah, and then wait till you're done formatting it, because it might actually be more than that.
Yeah, I have it all in the font that he has, but the spacing and everything, I got to do adjusting there.
Yeah, when you download his template, it's going to be smaller, and so there's probably going to be more pages to it. But
yeah.
Let's see here, Mike Steele, you're also working on a book for the project. What's going on with you, man?
Just enjoying the cooler weather here in Vegas. It's cloudy, and I will be writing on prosperity, as I have personally built a life up from nothing. I was homeless, I was broke, and I've got no college degree, no student loan debt, and now I manage a casino.
Nice. Huds, he's managing this whole fiasco.
Yeah, fiasco is an interesting way to put it. It's corralling a lot of cats, but there's so many brilliant ideas and so many brilliant guys working on it. You guys are really in for a treat. I guess update on me. I just came back from a trip to Canada. I was in Canada all week, and it was long days, but it was very fun.
Surprised you came back with your penis and you're not euthanized.
And now I'm looking at the score. I haven't been able to watch the game yet, but we are about to hit halftime with the opening game of the season. Penn State Nittany Lions, my alma mater, winning and crushing West Virginia right now in football. Love to see it.
Nice. All right,
Dude, it's West Virginia.
Yeah, I know, but come on. Like, let me be happy and excited.
Thor, what's going on with you, man? How are you doing?
hey, all good. Maybe I should preface so that the viewers, I'm not sure how many, we only have about 74, but they can go back and understand what this jargon is we're talking about. What do you think? Should I give them a little bit?
Yeah, give them a taste.
All right, let's give you guys an idea of what's coming. So a couple years ago, I wrote the book, A Dominant Masculine Presence. And inside of that, I outlined 7 skills of a dominant masculine presence that each man must acquire to move beyond alpha and beta, from the container words to the actual identity he wants to project out into the world in order to basically change reality around him for his benefit and the benefit of others. A woman might see this and understand all of these skills wrapped together in various configurations as that guy has the vibe. And so I did my best to put that together, and it has done extremely well. Fast forward. For those that don't know, I ended up with the brain cancer and a not good prognosis at stage 4 end stage. So I ended up spending a week in the hospital about 6 weeks ago, and I have a lot of content that I put together. I wanted to do 3 more books, and that may not be possible for me. So I came up with the idea to reach out to all of my friends in the red pill space, all of them, and see if they wanted to do an essay from 10 to 100 pages on the skills of a masculine presence. Something about their story and how it affected them and what it happened to them, rites of passage, physicality, prosperity, power, influence, all of these skills, and give them the opportunity to create an encyclopedia that can tell their story about why it's important, maybe even offer some advice on how to acquire these skills that worked for them. Many of these guys went to the school of hard knocks, and you don't have to. So we're kind of looking at a series based on my book that's going to end up being, it looks like right now, about an additional 12 books so far of men that have committed, names you would know, that over the next year are going to write a book based on these skills and share these skills with you. If that's the case, just so that you might know, we'll see if we can give you a screen here and show you at least the first templates are up. Here is your book series, and you can see, I know it looks like it's my face, but it's not. These are all the authors. I've kept them small so you didn't know. But these are all separate authors that you would recognize into the red pill space. I wanted to bring all these guys together without the beef so that they could pass to you a rite of passage when it comes to this skill set. So that's the project. The project is the essential skills of a masculine presence. Notice I didn't say dominant masculine presence, because you don't even have to be dominant to have these. Although when you exercise these skills, it'll definitely make the difference for you. Anyway, that's the project that all the guys are talking about. I know that, I believe somebody was online the other day, didn't know if they could talk about it. Yes, everybody can talk about it. So look in the next month. There's a couple guys within a month or 6 weeks that want to publish. So look on Amazon. And I mean, we're going to be hitting psychology, power, physicality. You'll see guys in there that will talk about physicality, violence. You'll see them talk about psychology, which will include game. You'll see them talk about passion, which might include some adult content. So this encyclopedia will be coming out over the next 9 to 13 months. And that's about all I can say, because some of the big names have committed, but I'm not permitted to say. And that's it for now. Thanks. That's what I've been working on.
Not talking about it. I won't shut the fuck up about it.
And it helps me because I really don't have the energy wearing the radiation array and the chemo brain, but I did upload the content that I had all the notes on, so these guys can use it and then add their own flair. They get to get out there and do that. Half the work's done. So hopefully it's a springboard for everybody, and it assists me as well and kind of gives me something to focus on other than wearing this dumb shit. Thanks, guys. That's what I'm working on.
All right.
Yes, sir.
And then Tarl, Viking Paradigm, what do you got going on, man?
Oh, like Thor said, I'm gearing up. I shifted some of my priorities because of the catastrophic motherboard failure. I already had to put a lot of stuff on hold, and the other people I'm working with, they were more than accommodating for that. So right now, I'm actually working with Donovan to help him get his internet on point, and I'm gearing up to write my first book, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be on physicality at this point, because I'm basically like what most guys would refer to as a living anime character. So
fair enough. Yeah, my book actually is pretty close to being done. I'm going to work on.
That's good.
Man, there's some like background noise somewhere. I'm not sure where, but
That was me. Sorry about that.
oh, okay. Yeah, so my book's done being written. Tomorrow I'm going to work on formatting it, and then I'm going to hit up Huds, and then we're going to get the cover on it and get it uploaded. So that should be up here in the next like week or two. And that's going to be on essential skills of a masculine presence on paradigms and reprogramming your paradigm. So look for that. So we're going to be talking about not being afraid of your woman's emotions today. You might not realize this, but your woman's emotional storms are one of her biggest. And for many of you guys out there,
we're losing your mic. We're losing your mic. I'm not hearing it. I'm not sure if it's getting drowned out somehow.
You're losing my mic?
Yeah, it's like cutting out. It sounds like your noise gate was cutting you off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Son of a gun. Is it better now? Is it better? Okay, we'll leave this off. So what I was saying was, you might not realize this, but your woman's emotional storms are one of her biggest manipulation tools. And for many of you guys out there, your girl's playing you like a fiddle, right? And the key to rising above such whamming tactics is to not only be unafraid of her emotions, but to be completely, relatively unfazed by her emotions. And this all comes down to frame, right? And I have some examples of men being afraid of their women's emotions, or more like I have examples of what women do to use their emotions and how that works, right? So we'll go through these, and then we'll go through the panel to see if anyone's guilty of falling for this, or if they've at least seen this sort of thing from friends and family. All right. So the first one I have here is probably the most common one, but it's crying to get her way.
Oh, the ultimate weapon.
The ultimate weapon that
The
Hawaiian
nuclear
used.
option.
And before we get too far into this, I want to give a shout out to two of my channel members. I have CW here, and he says us members are top tier. And then Nurse Chick, she says the elite join members only for exclusive benefits. You know, Jack Napier, he's now allowing my members to have free access to his audiobook of the Book of Puck series. So if you guys want that, because you're members, you guys, there's a link to that on the community page, but only members can see it. So check that out. Okay, so getting back to crying to get her way. So she bursts into tears during an argument to elicit sympathy and make him agree with her point of view. Oh, speaking of Jack Napier.
Yes.
Jack, have you ever dealt with a woman crying to get her way?
Yes.
Tell us this story, Jack Napier.
Oh, wow. So the most successful story I have about that was when it's actually a pretty gloomy story, in all honesty. So this was years ago, where I dated a girl whose mom I just did not trust. There were many reasons for that, which I shall not get into, but we were there, and I just had a very bad vibe about her mom, and some other stories came out. And my girlfriend and I, at the time, we were sitting at her place, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to go to your mom's anymore. I don't trust her. And she started crying and this and that. And I remember having read Esther Villar at the time, and that quote of, if only men knew what cold and calculating thoughts went behind those teary eyes. And that quote just ran through my mind as soon as she said,
Oh, you're cutting out, Jack.
I don't know if he's cutting out. I think somebody else's mic is taking up something. Like, I don't know if it's yours, Thor, the clip-on mic, if it's rubbing against something. I don't know.
I don't have a clip on.
Okay, I don't know where it's
I'm on my SMB. Let me.
There we
go. You know what? Today I added auto levels. Let's take that off.
Okay.
Which is strange. There is no background noise in here, so it must be a.
Yeah, I don't know. But we should be good now, Jack.
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
No, but I remember telling her, like, you being upset about it won't make me trust your mom more. And I stand by it. And funnily enough, she immediately stopped crying. Like, oh shit, I can't get my way. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So you weren't afraid of her emotions. You just said, "Hey, I'm doing this," and
No.
she's like, "Oh, okay," and then stopped.
Yeah. Oh, but there were plenty of times where it did work, where you're like, oh shit, I really am doing something wrong and this and that. And that's where I every now and then still fall in the behavior of wanting to try and fix it, where now I realize more keeping the peace is not my job. Like, don't be afraid of her emotions. Like, they're not my job. If she wants to be upset about something, that is fine. Sure, be upset about it. But stop going after it, trying to fix it. That is not my job. Truly is not my job. It's like I said, I had to learn that the hard way. I still fall into it every now and then.
Yeah.
That's where flogging comes in.
You know who I imagine has never once fell for a woman crying is Wraith. Wraith, you've never allowed that to bother you, have you?
Maybe with my first wife, because she wasn't overly emotional. So when she cried, I knew something was wrong. And so I would go try to find out what was bothering her. My other two wives, they've always been very good about just coming out and saying what's bothering them, even if they're crying. So, but like I said, that was my first wife. When she cried, I knew something was up.
Interesting. Nuke, women crying to get their way.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if she's your wife or girlfriend or just a girl you're seeing on the side. Eventually, she will call you crying or cry in front of you. It's very important that you understand what's going to happen to you based on your biology. You're going to want to help because that's you want the tears to stop. So your man brain is going to be like, what do I have to do to keep this woman from crying anymore? What's the problem? So I think every woman is different. Some women will call you crying because they just want someone to talk to. That's fine. You just let them. And then someone will try to manipulate you. You just gotta be savvy enough to know which one it is. And most likely women that you love will be the ones to use the tears against you more than like a casual girl. That's what I've seen. But don't be afraid of a woman's emotions. Like they're emotional creatures. How many guys are always talking about women are emotional, but when the emotions come, they treat her like a man. What's the problem? Tell me, how do I fix it? I'm like, no, dude, just let her talk, let her cry it out. And then a lot of the times, I don't know, especially you guys that are married, I know you guys have seen your wives or girlfriends. As soon as they finish crying, they go back to normal like nothing happened. They're like, okay, let's go get some ice cream now. It's a phenomenon that happens if you just sit back, let the emotions happen, and then don't try to fix everything. Just move on, and you'll be fine.
It's like it's not about the nail tape thing, right? Just there's nothing for you to fix. Just let her do it.
Yeah. And then
yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes I've not picked up the phone for a girl I've been seeing. She was crying because maybe, she's out stuck somewhere without gas or, her dad yelled at her or whatever. And then the next day I'm like, hey, what's up? What happened? It's like, oh, no, I was crying last night. And I'm like, what about? And they're like, I don't remember. And I'm like, wow, that's you guys take these crying so seriously. Unless it's obviously you got to like analyze, like, some women cry because something really is off in their life, but for the most part, a lot of the crying is just they'll forget the next day what they were even crying about. So don't take it that seriously.
But don't I see a lot of men, they operate in the extremes. They'll either go full bore trying to fix it, or they'll go full bore trying to ignore it.
Yeah.
And if they try to fix it, it makes them angry. And if they try to ignore it, it makes them angry. You just gotta listen. Just listen.
Just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all they
Yeah.
want. That's all they want.
What that was a big thing that I learned is well, luckily Nurse Chick doesn't talk, so I don't have this problem with Nurse Chick, but well, that was one of the things I learned was women most often don't want you to solve the problem; they just want you to listen. And when you realize that you don't have to solve the problem, it's a huge relief off your chest that it's not your job, So when she's got this thing and she's just working through it, just go, yeah. And how does that make you feel? Nurse Chick's done this where she's had problems at work and she's, she has a kind of a stressful job. She deals with death all the time. And because she's a hospice nurse. And so sometimes she'll have, an emotional thing that she's going on. And my inkling is to try to give her solutions to it. And I'll catch myself and go, do you want me to listen or do you want some advice? Right. I have to catch myself.
I asked that question. I say, are you venting or do you want me to solve this?
Yeah, that's smart.
And she goes, I'm just venting. I said, okay, go.
Yeah. Then all you gotta do is just be an active listener there. Let me give a shout out here to John. He just became a member. Thank you so much, man. I'm gonna give you this one. I'm now over the hump. I've got 6 out of 10 for my goal. So thank you for that, brother. Appreciate that. Mike Steele crying to get her way.
I actually haven't had to deal with this yet, but when we reach some other emotions, I will definitely have something to say.
Okay, fair. What about you, Huds? You've got a wife to be. You've got a fiance, right?
Yes, sir. And what's really interesting is her crying style is completely different than kind of what we're talking about here. The crying to get your way. The girl with BPD that I had dated for a while, years back, she used to do that all the time. And it was so weird to me the very first time I checked her, where I just felt like she was crying for no reason. I thought the entire situation was ridiculous. And as soon as I checked her, she stopped. It was immediate. And it was such a weird thing to experience because that's when I realized that she had been using this whole time tears to get her way, like a child. And it's very bizarre. With my fiance, she doesn't cry from manipulation ever. And she's actually like a quiet crier. She would rather hide away to cry. She kind of internalizes that pain. So when I see her very upset, that's when I know I need to help her open up. I need to find out what's going on. So it's two completely different sides of the spectrum. But it's very interesting going through that experience that that previous girlfriend, that ex, would use that all the time to try and get her way.
Tarl has a link that we want to share here. Yeah, Glenn, I see you back there. I haven't added you because you didn't have your camera on. But here, this is what Tarl wanted to share. What do we got here?
We live in as women is believing that we have high emotional intelligence.
You guys hear that okay?
And setting the record straight, women have no emotional intelligence. The reason that as women we want to believe we have emotional intelligence is because we are emotional. Because we are emotional, as women, we want to think we have high emotional intelligence. But the truth is the fact that we are highly emotional is actually the biggest indicator that we have very low emotional intelligence, because being emotional is having no control over our emotional state, which is low emotional intelligence. High emotional intelligence is the ability to be pragmatic, to see things realistically, and to make choices and respond to life not from an emotional place. It's the ability to be in control of our emotional state and operate in life from that place.
Wow,
Shameless
I
plug.
love that.
Yeah, shameless plug. Look out for my book when it comes out. It will be about emotional durability.
You know, I talked to Karen recently. She's good peoples.
The chick from that video?
Yeah. I linked up with her about over a year ago. She's really cool.
See, I can never tell when you're serious or not.
Yeah, and what happened to your beard? What the fuck, dude? I thought we were Vikings.
Well, you know, when you get like a huge gash underneath your neck from the accident, and you know.
Oh yeah, Glenn. What? Tell us, like, how are you doing? What's going on?
Oh, I'm alive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just aggravated the already herniated discs that I had from the motorcycle accident, and they wanted to fuse them. I sought out a second opinion. I'm gonna go with the second opinion, but because of the accident, the trauma or whatever, I started coming back. I came back down with blood clots. I had an issue with blood clots before, and I was free and clear not too long ago, and now I have blood clots again. So dealing with that, dealing with physical therapy. Yeah, so it's not a whole lot of fun, but you know, still alive and kicking.
So you're saying you got a scratch, we're going to rub some dirt in it, and you're going to hit the ground running, right?
Pretty much already was running, just using my hands.
Thanks for joining, buddy.
Yeah,
No problem.
good. Glad you're still here. Let's we've spent a lot of time on this first topic, so let's move on to the next one. Anger outbursts. She uses sudden, intense anger to intimidate him into backing down during a disagreement. Has anybody experienced this?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
AJ, I know you have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll let Mike go
Same
first.
here, buddy. Same here.
So basically, it was see, this upcoming holiday is Labor Day, so Memorial Day weekend. I informed a gal I was dating that I was going to be turning my phone off so I can kind of like unplug a little bit, because that's what you do, right? When you care, you inform the people that care about you that you're turning your phone off. She did not like that. And she lost her fucking mind and went off on a screaming fit about how I'm abandoning her and this, that, and the other thing. I don't care about her. I'm a selfish a-hole, etc., etc., etc. And I'm like, okay. And I turned my phone off. And then the following Tuesday, when I turned my phone back on, I got the wall of hate. Brr, 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 all the texts, all the hate, all the anger. And I just said, we're done. Send, block. I hadn't encountered that before. The other types of angers that I've experienced were when I first got to Vegas, I got called a fuck boy. So I was pretty proud of that. But thank you, Lindsay. Yeah, but it was the fact that because if she had done it differently, like if she had maybe cried and said, please don't leave me, I would have responded differently. I would have been like, baby doll, I'm not leaving you. I just need a little man time, okay? Kiss, kiss.
Okay, I switched off your alarm.
My bad.
I'm
Thank
not
you.
leaving you yet. I'm not leaving you yet.
But the anger, the cussing me out and all that just told me, like, if she's going to lose her mind over me turning my phone off, how bad will things get? And so that's what told me, nope, we're out. We're done.
Yeah. Very low emotional intelligence in that one because, medium is the message, right? So what was the problem? Well, you were turning your phone off. So she started thinking, oh, maybe he's cheating on me. Maybe he's just trying to set it up so that way he can have that alone time with somebody else. And what was she doing? She's sending walls of text, which means her schedule is open. So what was she really saying? She wanted to spend time with you and fuck your feelings, right? And she didn't know how to communicate that correctly. So what did she do? She chose violence, right? And went off on you and lost the relationship because of that lack of emotional intelligence. She didn't know how to process her own feelings about you saying, like, I'm going to do my own thing. And she's like, my schedule is open. I want to spend time with you. She didn't know how to say that. And once again, I'm just spitballing here, but just looking at it from the outside, that's what the medium screams to me. That's the message. She wanted to spend time with you and didn't know how to fucking say it correctly.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of where this whole thing comes from when we're talking like using crying for manipulation or using anger for manipulation. These girls, they don't know how to communicate, but they know those emotions. So that's why they react that way, because they're also used to using those emotions. Like whenever they act that way on that side of a spectrum, they get a response. So that's what they get used to doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and it also starts when they're toddlers, you know, and they start acting up and throwing tantrums, and they realize they get their way. Well, they just never grow out of that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Up until that point, every other man in their life has allowed them to do it.
Yep. Yep. We like women are only as shitty as we allow them to be, you know. AJ, what's your story on this?
Here we go.
Oh, I call this the Rule Zero fiasco. We'll go with the Rule Zero fiasco. This will cover several of these examples. So before the suppository of the red pill fully took effect on me, this is December, about a month, literally a month before she left. And I had just gotten back from my local Black Rifle Coffee, brought her coffee back with me. And I'm like, ooh, Rule Zero's on today. I'm going to catch it live. So that's all in my mind. I'm going to catch Ryan and the boys talking stuff. This is before Paul was on there. I think even Thor was still fairly new on there. But anyways, she's like, hey, can you help me rake the leaves in the lawn? It's December. We get leaves here in Texas. I'm like, sure, I'll take care of it after I watch Rule Zero. And she starts the manipulation. She does the whole thing. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll go do it myself. We're past the amen mark. So I'll go out there. I start raking leaves. I'm like, this is bullshit. Let me go pull out the lawnmower because it's got the bag on there. I'll just start sucking up leaves. Sure enough, it works. So I'm sitting out there having a blast now, sucking up all the leaves. She starts freaking crying and saying, I never want to do anything for her. I never want to help her. Keep in mind, she doesn't pay any of the bills around this place. The only thing she has to take care of is her car bill and her credit card bill. Everything else is covered by me. Give me some friggin' slack here. Of course, it's not going to happen. That starts a whole huge fight where I actually have to leave my property before it gets so bad because we're having an argument. I have some friends over. She's on the front yard and she starts yelling, get the fuck away from me. All angry like and stuff. This is like, keep in mind, like 20 minutes ago, she's like, I love you. And then she does all that stuff. I realize what she's doing. I'm like, you know what? You're fucking gaslighting me right now. She's like, excuse me. She has a whole narcissistic injury blow up happen. She starts charging at me. I fucking slam the door shut. She runs right into the freaking door. I go through the house. My garage is on the other side. Go to the garage, get in my car, back out, and start driving away. Get a hotel room for the night because she was about to get physical. It wasn't the first time she'd been physical because there have been times where she'd block my path, grab onto my wrist, slap my wrist, that kind of stuff. And I never did anything because she weighs 95 fucking pounds and 4'11". At the time when we were dating, I was bouncing between 185 and 205, and I'm 5'8". I'm going to jail.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Anytime you get into that kind of physical confrontation, you get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of deja vu again, right? Because what was the medium again? She wanted you to do something with her away from what you were doing, right? And instead of doing what she wanted, which was to spend time with her and do something with her, she didn't get her attention, right? So then
you spent it with the lawnmower instead.
Yeah, you went out and started having fun, and then she had a breakdown again.
How dare you have man fun?
So,
He was jealous of that lawnmower.
but once again, that's the thing. They want attention, and they don't know how to communicate their feelings correctly unless instructed to. So once again, it doesn't even have to be a personality disorder. Any woman can do this because of that lack of emotional intelligence and control. Right? Men do this too. Right? That lack of emotional control is inherent in men these days because how many men act like women?
I kind of disagree with you there, buddy.
Oh, here we go. Let's hear it.
I mean, there are plenty of women like this. She asked him like, "Hey, you okay if you want to do the leaves?" And AJ was very clear, like, "Yeah, I'll do the leaves when I can do them." Like normally, normal people, let's be honest here, even normal women will go like, "Well, okay, thank you." And then if he hadn't done it the day after, and she get pissed off, then it's like, "Yeah, nah, that's pretty legit." But she immediately went into that manipulation of, well, oh, I'll do it myself then, blah, 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 blah. Immediately the guilt tripping. Immediately the shaming tactic.
Whoa. I said, fuck it, I'll go do it myself. Like, don't worry about it. I'll go get it taken care of.
Yeah,
and
then
then I realized, hey, the lawnmower is going to make it go a lot faster. And I'm having fun.
Yeah, and that failed the shit test because you already had said that you were going to watch Rule 0, and then she gives you the shit test, and then what do? You go and do it yourself. So you didn't give her the attention, and you didn't stand your ground on your frame on what you were actually planning on doing. You changed your plan for her, and then also ignored her. It was a double whammy. So even if, I'm not saying she didn't have a personality disorder, she very well did, right? A normal woman could, a well, mental state woman could withstand that. Right. But any woman can get set off. That's why I was framing it the way that I was, because guys need to know if you do that, if you fail those minor shit tests, they will cascade into other bullshit when you don't recognize what's going on.
Yeah. Like I said, I hadn't fully gone red pill yet. I was on the journey. This is the very beginning.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we all have stories. We all have blue pill stories. Yeah.
If you guys want to know the most important shit test, or I would say the most important anger shit test that you must absolutely be able to pass. It is for your survival. A woman hitting you. That is an incredible. Like, if there's anything you want to learn about women and like shit tests, a woman hitting you, especially striking you in the face, that is where you have to think about what could happen in that scenario, right? Because if you hit her back, you might do irreparable damage to her, right? If you don't leave the scenario, you might get cornered. The male brain is really good at that fight or flight response, right? And when I got hit when I was like 22 I was dating a girl, and I definitely did not deserve it. She was kind of crazy. She might have been BPD or something. And is the strangest feeling in my life where I got hit in the face and I wanted to strike back. Like, it was a split-second decision. My brain was telling me, dude, you're going to die, fight back. And I had to, every single cell of my body had to hold back in order to not do that, because if I did, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't have been able to do what I did in the Navy. My record would be fucked because I hit a woman, regardless of the situation, right? You can't out alpha the state. Once you put your hands on a woman, you are cooked, right? So that is something that could have saved a lot of men's futures if they understood how to deal with that, because men's number one power is to walk away, right? In any situation, the way I see it, please excuse me, I don't have as much relationship experience as you guys, but the ability to walk away is your number one power in a bad situation. That doesn't mean leave forever. I mean, like, hey, I'm going for a walk, right? When anger is involved, bad decisions are made. And I know for a fact that I am a sweet, loving guy, but when I got hit in the face, my body was like, crush her. And I was like, no, no, she is a woman. You can't do that. And I backed up. I made sure I wasn't bleeding or anything. And then I looked at her and said, let's talk some other time. And I walked away. And then I saw a friend. I'm like, dude, come talk to me. I just got hit by so-and-so. She's like, really? He's like, really? Yeah. And then a couple of days later, I said, hey, let's go to a public place so you feel safe. Let's talk about this. And we sat down in the college square. And while we were talking, she started crying, just tears. And then she apologized, right? But in that moment, had I decided, to go with my instincts, I would have not been here right now. So, guys, if there's any shit test you want to pass, it's a woman hitting you, because there's so many things that could ruin your life in that split second. You don't want to deal with that.
So my question to you, Nuke, is after that, and she was crying on the bench and all that in the park, did you continue or did you drop her?
I mean,
like physically drop her? I mean, no,
the Randy Orton, you know.
Give her the RKO out of nowhere.
Just
Look,
give
if
it to
women,
the rock
if women
bottom.
want equal rights, they need equal lefts too, right? I mean,
Okay, all right.
Paul,
Hold
that's
on.
terrible. We're gonna get canceled.
No, but I do want to
And
say,
canceled.
I do want to
My
say, I do want to
question
say,
is this:
I
how do you guys let these women into your lives?
I wasn't experienced. That's why I was 22, so I didn't know a lot about women. I thought that a lot of men confuse women being like crazy and violent as investment. Like, oh, she must really like me. She must care so much about me. And in reality, I'm like, no, dude, she's just a little bit crazy. So as a young guy, you need to understand that just because a girl is invested in you, like being crazy is not investment. She'd be crazy with any other guy, right? This is just who she is. And you need to run. That's how BPD girls destroy men, because it's that investment. Plus, I don't care. Now I care. I'm perfect. Now I'm not perfect. And guys get wrapped up in that. It's very important, right? Because, all of these situations are tough, but once you get hit by a woman, it's over. Like, you need to run away from that situation. Even if no talking, no discussing, just leave, walk away, run. Because after that, everything is broken. Trust is broken. You got hit by the love of your life, supposedly. Run. Just run away.
Well, I'm going to plug Thor's book here for a second. If you guys read his book, you're going to prevent 90% of this, because those women aren't going to be in your life. All right? Because part of what he's trying to get everyone to do is, if you know yourself and you know even an inkling of behavior, you're going to not put these women in your life.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. A lot of guys don't even set boundaries, let alone enforce them, right? And this is I have a personal experience with that with my girl who's in that right now. For early on in a relationship, I made a joke where I was kind of teasing her, I think probably about her being short and all that stuff. And what did she do? She lashed out at me physically. It was joking, but she backslapped me on the shoulder hard enough to make a very loud sound, and it stung like a motherfucker. And I'm a pretty tough guy. And I'm like, hold on. Like, my brain immediately kind of went into that space that Nuke was talking about. Like, yo, I just got actually hit with like some malice there. That wasn't just for fun or like teasing back. That was like anger. That was a correction. I'm like,
yeah, quick
oh, and I immediately stopped her.
Quick question for you before we continue. How did you feel like when you got hit? It was just like, it's almost like you saw red. Like it was like fight or flight. So a lot of guys will say, no, I never hit a woman. I'm like, bro, get hit in the face by one with a pan or a weapon. You tell me how you feel.
You're missing the rest of the sentence. You never hit a woman, but you smack the shit out of a bitch while you're bullshitting.
Sorry,
Get it right. Get it right.
So
I just want to make a point. Sorry.
What happened was when she made the contact and the noise hit my ear and the pain registered, and I'm just like, I just immediately had that moment where my brain just like, no. And then I looked directly at her and I said, don't ever hit me like that ever again. I wouldn't hit you like that. You wouldn't want me to hit you like that. Don't ever hit me like that ever again.
This is a good segue, because Wraith brought this up. Thor does have a book that will help you guys with this. Let's play a commercial for that, and then I want to get to Red Hawk here. He popped in. He's a big deal. He's a Rule Zero panelist now. So let's get to Thor's book, and then we'll talk to Red Hawk.
Have you ever felt like you're fading into the background? Like the world doesn't want you to stand out, to be strong, to be masculine? You're not imagining it. For decades, society has been reshaping the role of men, leaving many feeling lost and disconnected. It's time to change the narrative. In A Dominant Masculine Presence by RP Thor, discover the path to reclaim your strength, your confidence, and your identity as a man. This isn't about fitting into a stereotype. It's about embracing your natural traits and honing them into a powerful presence. Learn the 7 skills that every man needs to lead with authority, read body language, and control his emotions. RP Thor breaks it down with clear examples and practical advice to help you transform your life. It's time to stop apologizing for who you are. It's time to lead with pride and courage. A Dominant Masculine Presence gives you the tools to do just that. Get A Dominant Masculine Presence by RP Thor on Amazon or listen on Audible. Don't let society dictate who you should be. Claim your strength and redefine your future.
Man, you got the best voice, Paul. I just love it. Really, it's like smooth as butter. And I'm so excited about the project because every man here is going to add to that in such a practical way that it's really going to pay it forward. And you know that here as dragons, what we say, and that's the rising tide lifts all ships. That is the rising tide, and we are all a big part of that. I appreciate you guys saying that. I do have something to say a little bit about crying. If it hasn't been prefaced, with all my relationships, women cry different than men for different reasons. An emotional outburst to cry at you to get you manipulated is very different than the cries they normally do. They'll cry for their period for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
They do this, and if you look it up, it's biological. It releases endorphins, vasopressins. You ask them, and they always feel better. And sometimes you can ask them that they're crying, and they don't know why. I just need to cry. And when they're done, they feel great, which is interesting. Also, biologically, women, when they hear an infant crying, it changes their brain chemistry massively. It doesn't do that to men. Although I'm looking at a study here where they ask questions, looks like most men feel that they have failed if a woman they're involved with, and even women they're not involved with, are crying in their presence for any reason. If it must, I have to speculate, but it's got to do something with that security and provisioning, that men naturally feel as part of the species. So women definitely know that if they amp up that game, they can push you in a certain direction. I've been very fortunate. I don't have this in my relationships. For some reason, this never comes up as an issue to cry to get things done. Heck, they're way more sneaky than having to cry. But they know that crying is a little bit of a weakness for us men. I feel bad, and I definitely have looked into this because there was some crying at one point not too long ago, and I did a test to see the big 5 personality things. Apparently, I'm quite the empath, and I didn't realize it at all. You guys might agree. I was hoping I was not, and I definitely have worked on emotional detachment. And I think that some of the skills around detachment, it's not suppressing your emotions, but being able to acknowledge a woman's need to cry for one reason or the other, even if she's trying to manipulate you, will help diffuse the situation. And when I say detach, it doesn't mean going silent. And this is a hard thing to do because sometimes women will cry just to vent, like Wraith said. That's a bit of energy vampirism or emotional vampirism. They can just throw emotions out there and cry like the world's coming to an end. You feel like you're not fulfilling your burden of performance. How could she act like this? That can drain the shit out of you. I don't know if you guys have experienced that. I have, from women I haven't even known, is listening to all their problems can kind of make me feel down. So definitely talk about how to detach from that a little bit. And it would serve you well. We're running long, but I have some stoic quotes in here that would probably help. We can talk about that later.
Well, let me say something about crying too, because Paul jumped off real fast on it.
Oh.
When I talk about my first wife and her crying was more generated around loss.
Yeah.
Okay. The 3 times I saw her cry was when her father died, when her sister died, and those kind of things. And I wasn't aware of the situation until I got home from work and stuff. My second wife, she cried because she was happy. And she never cried when she was sad. She never cried when there were troubles. But make her happy and she'd start crying. Now my third wife, she cries to let emotions out. And like I said, I just ask her, okay, is this something to do with me or is this something to do with something else? And it's always something else. And okay, well, get through it, But the cry, and women develop patterns based on whatever their emotional states are and what generates that state. So crying isn't necessarily always manipulation. Sometimes it's just dealing with the emotions that they have and how they've learned.
Yeah, I think we probably take it that way because we're problem solvers by our agency. And if there's crime going on, there's a problem. And that should initiate us to do what we're primarily designed to do, which is solve problems. And that's why that video, The Nail, is so funny to all of us. He wants to solve the problem. She doesn't want to do anything. And it's pretty illustrative of how that works with the crying situation. And they cry when they're happy. And it just is what it is. You can't, I've seen guys get mad because their woman cries because they think it's a manipulation where it's just a biologic response. Being able to recognize that seems to be difficult for us guys. Would you guys agree with that?
I would agree with that.
I would say that's one of those nuances as a man that it's part of your masculine burden performance to master, is to be able to identify why is she crying. And if, once again, you're not always going to be able to know, and she's not always going to tell you either. That's another thing you're going to have to make peace with. Sometimes she won't say, sometimes she won't give you that closure, because most of the time it's not so much about what she's trying to get. She's always got something she's trying to get, right? But it's about that she can't process her own emotions. So sometimes that's because she's happy, sometimes because she's sad, sometimes she's on, Shark Week, as Rollo calls it. You don't always know at first, like Ray said, could be from a loss of a family member, some other emotional catalyst that she might not express to you right away, and she's going to be going off. And if you overreact and don't try to assess the situation, you end up feeding into that emotional torrent, and then you become part of that fuel and that problem. Right? As a man, you're supposed to be able to control your emotions. That's what, we excel at. We have the ability, like Nuke. He got hit in the face. As Mike Tyson always says, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face. Well, he was able to control himself, and that is extremely admirable. That's what men should aim for. He didn't need to hit back in that situation. It wouldn't have done his life any good. His life was not at risk, but his instincts almost took over. But he was able to move to rationality very quickly and overcome that feeling in the moment. That's something that women do not excel at. That's something that men do. We have to for survival.
Yeah.
So they have valves in those nuclear plants when the pressure gets too high. I think that women do that with their emotions for sure, right?
Lift valves.
Pressure.
Yeah,
relief
the
valve.
pressure's too high in order to protect the reactor from damage. Certainly, women do that. And I think that we misinterpret it a lot.
Well, and it's got to be put into context too. If you walk into a room and a woman's crying, and it has nothing, then generally it has nothing to do with you. If you tell her no and she starts crying, that's when she's trying to manipulate for power and recognition and attention. Okay, so if there's no prior interaction with you in the crying, then you need to find out what that's about. But if it's a direct result of you saying no, or saying we're not going to do that, it's not, that doesn't fit into our plan, that's her trying to seek power through manipulation. Because every adult should be able to be told no.
So I would say watch after the crying for a little bit of mild gaslighting, and then you'll know that it was intended for a purpose. Would you guys think that statement's pretty fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
That makes sense. Let's so we've talked about crying a lot. Let's move on to the next one, which is feigning hurt feelings. She acts deeply hurt by something trivial to make him feel guilty and apologize, even if he hasn't done anything wrong. Right. I want to get Red Hawk in on this, since he's joining us from Rule Zero today. Hawk, have you experienced this, sir?
Welcome to the DragonShip, Hawk. Grab an oar. You're muted right now.
Hold on. Yeah, fucking Mike was acting up. Yeah. What's up, fellas? How we doing?
We're talking about women using emotions to manipulate men, and this example here is feigning hurt feelings. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh yeah, all the time. I think one of the ones that I'm sure all you guys can experience is you get into a situation when, say for example, you have a hobby that you participate in, right? Like funny enough, I'm getting into fencing. I know Thor has something to say about that, but it's like you have a hobby, right? And it's something you like to do on a Wednesday night or something, and the girl wants to get you to invest more time in her instead of you and your hobby.
Oh
and
boy.
And she'll pretend that, you are offending me because you're not spending time with me and you're going to spend your hobby. We were talking about crying there as well, more manipulation tactics and the like. But I think one of the things that screws up a lot of guys is because we are living in this long-house, gynocentric social order and such, you're kind of ingrained from a very young age that anything you do as a guy to upset the woman is why she's getting upset in the first place. And it's really not the case. It's not your responsibility to make her happy. It's not your responsibility to ensure that every single moment or every single issue that she's having is your responsibility to fix. And talking about what you guys were talking about with crying and such, manipulation tactics of crying could definitely come into that quite a bit. Hold on, fellas. I'm sorry. I'm getting another call here. Hold on.
Man, I thought you were a professional podcaster. What the fuck?
Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah. Huds, you wanted to add some stuff, at least to the anger outbursts.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all I wanted to say on that is essentially this should be a hard rule, fellas. If a girl is willing to hit you in the face, there are very few exceptions to not immediately leave that relationship. Yep. Because that is like the number one don't do and like sign of disrespect. And if she gets away with it, then she knows she can get away with basically anything.
Yes, yeah. Throwing knives, throwing plates. And actually, while Hawk takes care of that, I did want to ask the guys a question. If a woman that you're seeing hits you, not in the face, kind of like the one that happened with Tarl, where she like hit him in the back, what do you guys think about this as a possible response to kind of like maybe diffuse the situation and change the path going forward? She does that, you just kind of turn and look at her and go, do you want a spanking? To be kind of like, I mean, we can take this a totally different direction, honey. I will take you into the bedroom right now and put you over my knee and go to town on you.
Oh,
do you want? Is that what you?
Don't
ask. Not
just
recommend that. I would not recommend that because then you're rewarding her for bad behavior.
Yes, exactly, Tarl.
I was just going to say that. No.
Yeah. So a little bit more context. I didn't tell the entire like spiel that I gave my girl about that because the implication is that comply or goodbye, right? You either don't hit me like that or we're done, right? And I didn't have to say that overtly, but I explained to her scientifically why this matters. When you hit somebody casually like that, you are reinforcing a violent action in your brain. So you know that old just punch a pillow instead of fight the bully bullshit from the 90s, right? That's actually wrong. That reinforces violence in your brain by creating a pattern where you're associating another human being with striking, even if you're not planning on doing it. You have now reinforced a violent neural synapses in your brain to be formed. So what happens is when your girl starts doing those like backhanded taps like she did on my right shoulder, that it seems innocent at first, but you have to correct it. And that's what I did. I just explained to her, like, if you're in a relationship and you're hitting somebody, even if it's teasing or even if it's a joke, you are reinforcing a violent narrative in your own head. This leads to abusive relationships. I wouldn't hit you that way, even as a joke, right? Because I could do more damage. So you shouldn't hit me. Even if you can't do damage, you are still going to make that violence reinforced in the brain. Now, same thing as a topic of the hitting in the face. Why is that so bad versus like, say, hitting in the shoulder? Well, there's another scientific reason behind this that my street fighting instructor taught me. Is when he was a bouncer, he said there's a difference between a fist and a slap. A fist is for damage, a slap is for pain. And the thing is, your face has a large majority of the nerve endings. Your nose, your lips, this part of your face is hardwired for lots of input. So if somebody hits you in the face, that's why it's so hard to overcome that violent response in Nuke's situation, and why it's so actually impressive when you actually think about it, is that because of how much pain gets triggered, it is designed to invoke a actual emotional response from you by inflicting damage and actual anguish. So if a woman hits you in the face, she is literally trying to hurt you. And if she's trying to hurt you, that means she doesn't like you.
Yeah.
An argument is okay, but violence of any type with hands on, coquetry is not a good response at all, because in a lot of ways, when you do that, particularly if you're doing it with sexual innuendo, women's primary agency is sexual. So even if she says you're being disgusting and this and that, her brain hears it, her body hears it, it would be a conditioning response you don't want. One of the things I do when I do my lectures is talk about compassionate cognitive conditioning for the girls, and that would be, she punched you or slapped you in the face, and then you went into coquetry, sexual innuendo. It's just, well, it seems like you're doing. I think what you actually meant was we're just arguing, and then you can kind of play with that back and forth. But yeah, if she's at the point where she got actually physical, that's something you probably wouldn't want to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get Jack.
attention.
Guys, let's get Jack in here so that he can get going, and
Jack.
we can bring Glenn back up.
Yeah. Hold on. Where is that damn thing? I just had it. There. Yeah, it's a very old post by Fuck MRP. Great guy. You cannot fear her emotions. I put it in the chat. It's not long. You okay if I read this real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
So, okay. It's not your job to keep the peace. Nothing changes while you avoid confrontation. Choose your battles, but know when you change your behavior to avoid her emotions, she controls you. Never argue with her. She's not interested in solutions. Make your statement about the issue and then broken record if need be. For people who don't know what broken record is, it's actually very simple. You make a decision. Let's say she wants something. You say, we're not going to do that. She starts arguing with you. Broken record. We're not going to do that. Oh, but you're so selfish, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to do that. Yeah, but you never treat me with anything nice. We're not going to do that. It's all you do. You just repeat the first sentence over and over. That's broken record. Where was I? Do not explain yourself, your logic. You're only offering her ammunition. Be happy even when she's mad. Ignore her silent treatment. Talk to her as if you don't notice. Tease her and see how childish that shit is so you never behave that way again. Be assertive when boundaries are crossed. The best time to address shitty behavior is while it's happening. Bringing up old shit makes you look weak. So very simple. If something happened last week, it never happened. You don't have to answer every question. Not everything needs a response. Take time to choose your words. Let her wait or wonder. Never deny your emotions. She knows when you're mad. She knows when you're mad. Own it, just don't direct it at her. You are allowed to be angry. Be comfortable making her uncomfortable. Do not rush to fix things. That's the important one through all of this. Do not initiate apologies she should be making. Your time is what she wants most from you. This is the best thing you can take away in response to bad behavior. Her only weapon is your fear of what she will do. There. It's in the chat. Go read it. I'm hopping off because the panel is a bit full. I'll see you guys later. And see you soon. Cheers.
All right. Bye, Jack.
Later, Jack. I'm jelly for that Lego.
I know, right?
Which one is it?
He got the D&D.
Oh,
it's out?
Yeah, he's out. He took a picture of it in his car, in the backseat of his car, buckled up, and sent it to me this morning. I'm like, you bastard.
It's pretty sick. It's pretty sick with the dragon.
You masculine geeks.
He's been building it like all morning. He's like 1/3 of the way done already.
Glenn, turn your camera back on. We'll bring you back up on stage, man. If you're still there. There he is. All right, we can bring this guy back up. Glenn has.
You mentioned that about the breaking up if she does hit you, and I told myself, like, if she hit me a third time, she got me twice. If she hit me a third time, I was gonna do it. Now thinking back, I'm like, once and out.
Yeah. A lot of times guys do that. They're like, okay, one more time. Okay, now this time didn't count, but the next time it's like,
because that one wasn't that serious. So yeah, one more. Okay. Yeah, and then you just go into a cycle loop. Exactly, Paul.
Yeah, you're deluding yourself.
I agree with the article Jack wrote. Jack read. I don't argue. If you want to discuss, we'll discuss. But if it turns into an argument, we're done.
I argued for 10 years. Biggest mistake of my life.
Yeah.
I don't argue.
Glenn, you wanted to jump in on some of these.
Yeah. The slapping thing is, so this is the thing about the slapping thing. The reason why she thinks it's okay to slap you, because whether you realize it or not, you have displayed to her previously that she doesn't have to respect you because that you're not worthy of respect. You have allowed her to devalue you in some form, or you have self-deprecated to the point where she sees you beneath her. And there's many you know, I would say data points you could look back on that show that you did something that this was going to lead up to it. For example, I go as far as saying the moment she calls you out your name or you call her out her name, that means yes, you're in a heated argument and you go, "You fucking cunt," right back right there. All right, you have lost respect for her. And if she, says this, something similar to you, you have lost respect for her, or she lost respect for you. And they'll probably try to chop it up as in they just said it because they were angry. No, she's expressing what subconsciously she either is ignoring or that she truly feels about you when she's either not aware of it quite yet or whatever. So there's always something that you could look back to that would indicate that slap or that assault, because that's really what it is. It's assault. That assault was going to take place and you allowed it. You either have created the environment where she could feel safe enough and justified enough to do that to you, and she knew that the consequence was not going to be there. And that's the thing that a lot of guys they want to point out, and they're like, "Oh yeah, she's some crazy bitch. She slapped me." Well, even crazy bitches know who and when they can and cannot slap. So the realization is that we have to kind of also reflect on us and be like, okay, how have I played a role in this? Like, I had one woman slap me. Now she's known as half a face. No, I'm kidding. But she really did have half a face. She had a stroke and then half her face froze, so I call her half a face, and that's why I got
Dude,
slapped.
what the fuck is wrong with you?
One thing I want to add to what Glenn's saying, and a lot of people don't realize this too, but a lot of the way we deal with arguments come from the way we were taught from our parents, right? If a girl's mom argues in a way where she called her dad names and she throws things and does all the stuff, that gets programmed into a girl's subconscious on this is how we deal with arguments in relationship. And then they perpetuate that. It becomes a really negative cycle. And so a good way of sort of identifying that early on is when she finally brings you to meet the mom and see how mom treats the dad, if dad's still around. If dad's not around, well, that's a red flag by itself, but
I think another topic that is tangential to what you were just talking about, Paul, and you, Glenn, is the concept of escalation. Glenn gave the example of just verbal escalation to the point of, oh, well, you called the girl a cunt. Well, now the argument is well, you can never, ever say that word about me. You can never call a woman a cunt, right? And now is a tactic to subvert the argument that you're having and go into another topic. Or like Nuke was just talking about getting slapped. That's another form of escalation. And unfortunately, well, I wouldn't say unfortunately, but given the state of laws in play now as well, is that anytime you escalate as a guy, that spells trouble for you. So having tactics of de-escalation, knowing that, okay, no, I'm not going to lay a hand on this girl. It's a fucking stupid idea. It will serve you very well.
Yeah, guys, I got to say something here. Escalation to violence is not normal in any way, shape, or form. We're talking about it like it happens in every relationship. It is not normal at all. It is becoming popular, and it's really bad situation is not normal.
I think
it's becoming popular because it's becoming, men have provided too much of this I'm a safe guy bullshit. Men have been too focused on wanting to be perceived as safe or security and not enough and being dishonest with them, because no, we are not safe. There's nothing fucking safe about me. All right,
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
Projecting as if there's not going to be any consequences. She is safe with him, that she is safe in the sense that she is not going to be disciplined or that she won't feel consequence for her actions. Guys try to,
if she's a normal woman that has emotions,
That's
You're doing your
irrelevant
part,
to the
this will
point.
never come up.
But what I'm
Well,
saying it's
I-
irrelevant. It's
right.
irrelevant to the point where when it's like she's a normal woman. Normal women 50, 40 years ago know the fact that they couldn't fly off the handle and assault a guy.
What?
But
Hold on.
we have been projecting this safeness.
I'm actually agreeing with you. It's that,
I know.
that men aren't men, how they select and maintain their presence in that relationship avoids all of that violence situation. And drawing, when the violence comes up, that is really not normal. I don't know how that's become acceptable, but you're right, it is acceptable in a lot of ways. I can't blame the men for that. It takes a woman to swing her fist. There's no way.
I blame boss
Actually-
bitch movies where we have all the female superheroes that beat up the men. That's what I. That's
Well,
what I
It's lack of emotional control, right? That we talked about before.
Exactly,
Guys have been
exactly.
taught like defective girls, and they're taught to get in touch with their emotions, and that you need to let your emotions out, not that you need to control them. Right? I was taught in martial arts that I needed to control my emotions, or my emotions would control me, and I would
gotta
hurt the
be
ones
nice,
that I
right?
love the most. So I mastered physical discipline and mental self-control, and that wasn't easy to do. It's not easy. If anybody that tries to act like it's easy, like, you see how many people can't do it today. How many men could control their emotions but aren't? How many women could control their emotions but there aren't? The system enables them and encourages them to go to those emotional extremes and dwell in those emotional spaces.
That's
and what
because
happens?
we're not taught
Chaos.
to control. We're taught to express our emotions.
And there's
right?
no consequence. Men have not enforced the consequence. You guys asked just not too long ago, how many guys stayed with a girl after she hit him? And like Hud said, the third time it's done. Well, you have displayed to her, you have reinforced to women that it's okay to hit you, just not 3 times.
Yeah, you won't
right?
do it. You won't really do anything about it.
Yeah,
You're a
exactly.
pussy.
So it's like, so by the time they actually hit you the third time, they're already done with you, and they know that, and they're just trying to let you know that they're done with you.
They've
by that
completely
point.
lost respect. Let's do this one last example, and then we can go ahead and go around the horn here. The last example we'll go with is emotional blackmail. She says things like, "If you really loved me, you would do this," using his feelings for her to manipulate him into compliance. Have any of you experienced that?
Yes, and it was coupled with the righteous indignation, like, "Oh, how dare you have a hobby?" It was basically, I told this person, it was a nurse, by the way. I told this person, Thursday nights I do shit with the boys because that's when the boys are free, and so I prioritize that. And she basically did all the guilt tripping and all the emotional manipulation to try to say, well, I'm high maintenance, or if you cared about this relationship, you would spend more time with me. One night a week. I couldn't even have it with the boys, with this girl. So that did not last either. Because and this was, guys, to put things in perspective, this one was so obvious, I was blue-pilled, and I ended that dating relationship when she started doing that.
Yeah.
Allow me to throw in a wrench to this conversation.
Wow. Okay. Go ahead.
Here we go.
Are you sure you were a mechanic?
No. I am a electronics technician. I wouldn't know how to use a wrench properly if I had held at gunpoint. But the wrench is walking away is honestly one of men's greatest powers, right? But what if she's your wife and she has your kids and she does this behavior? This is a real life scenario that a lot of men face when they get married or they get into invested relationships, whether they share a house together or something. But we need to understand too that not all men can just walk away from a situation like that. So the best we can do is learn how to be assertive, like the book When I Say No I Feel Guilty teaches us about fogging and teaches us about broken record, different techniques that kind of reassert what you want without having to raise your voice, without having to use ultimatums, without having to, God forbid, use violence or threaten with violence, right? Which is the ultimate loss of frame for a man. So like pretend that your wife or your girlfriend is like, we're going to my sister's this weekend, and you hate going and you'd rather stay home or do something else. You simply say, I'm not going to your sister's. She's going to start guilting you. All people do this, right? Well, you always say, you always said that you were going. Like, why did you change? I'm like, I no longer want to go. I am not going to your sister's. Well, you're a bad person because you lied to me. I understand how that makes you feel, but I'm not going into your sister's. And that can go on for an hour, right? But if you keep holding your ground, right, instead of like kicking your wife or girlfriend to the curb over this, you can learn how to be assertive. And this is part of the red pill that a lot of people don't like to talk about, because everyone thinks that you can just kick women off to the side easily. Like, I'm such an alpha macho that I could just kick whatever hoe that disrespects me. I'm like, what if she's your wife? What if you love her? You know, what if you
What if
have
you got
children?
a mortgage and shared assets and children? Yeah, it's not so easy.
Well, see that's where it comes into serious. Like, how important is this to you, right? My ex was one that slapped me, but no, she didn't have half a face. She had a whole face. And once she assaulted me, actually, this was after I confronted her about her affair. I took my son and we left. You know, we dipped out, and I had custody of my son for like a year before she was able to get custody and all that other stuff. And that year he was 4.0 student, honor roll recipient. You know, he was greatest year for him academically, and just himself, just overall performance. But after she got custody, when she called CPS and all that stuff, got all that involved, after that we went down the hill.
Yeah.
And so no, you do leave. I left the house. I left my assets because it was that important. So as soon as, like, Nuke, what you're saying is like, well, it's important if these things are not going to be affected. Well, either an assault is important, period, and it's that dangerous or that damaging to the relationship, and you want out.
I think it's situational, right? Like, I would say assault is a very
a slap is an assault. As soon as somebody hits you, it's an assault. Any unwanted touching is an assault by definition.
Well, I'm more touching on, like, for example, I saw a video and it went viral on Twitter. I think it was a year and a half ago, where a couple were doing a gender reveal for a baby that they were going to have. She was pregnant and he was, standing next to her. And I think he messed up the gender reveal by letting a balloon go early so they couldn't pop it.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, well, I mean, then he deserves it. I mean, come on.
But the woman started screaming at him, not screaming, but started like yelling at him in front of all the friends and family that he sucked and he was worthless, right? The thing is, it's really easy for me to hear on my single man ivory tower to tell that guy, yeah, well, leave that bitch. But she's carrying his child, right? And they look like they have a house together. It's not like is in that situation she disrespected you, right? But let's do this. Maybe she disrespected you because you suck, right? Maybe you're out of shape. Maybe you have no game. Maybe you haven't, you haven't done, because if you suck with a girl in a relationship, you're gonna suck with the next girl and the girl after that. So let's do this. Let's find out what I can do better first, right? She may be a bad person, but let's focus on myself and get better. And by the time I'm where I'm supposed to be, you can look at her and be like, oh, the reason she disrespects me is because I suck. And if she still disrespects you, and you're awesome now, you can move on and be awesome for another chick, right? But always focus on yourself first and take accountability for yourself first, because women play off you, right? All their emotions all depend off you. You are this. They will look at you, and like a couple of the guys were saying, they will make assertions and stuff based on who you are. So we can't just kick like a woman that's pregnant with your child obviously, if it's something very serious, obviously there is nuance to this. If a woman hits me, whether she's pregnant or not, I'm out. Like, it's done. We're going to court or something. But it's not the right answer to just say anytime you have a disagreement with a woman, every time a woman tries to infringe on a boundary, you can't just run and be like, all right, bitch.
But see, what's important is there's a distinction that we have to. It's not every time a woman is upset and you get in an argument with her. It's the fact that once they pass this line, where because it can only get worse. Once you start there's the disrespect to the point where your bodily harm is not their concern. They want to harm you physically. That harm will only escalate if you allow it to continue. And it's not so much whether it's not so much whether it's not so much whether they will continue to harm you, but it's actually the opposite. You need to be more concerned on whether or not how much of this you're going to take until you react with harm. And it's only it's a matter of time where a guy will end up reacting out of frustration, anger, and outburst in the same manner, just to neutralize hers.
I think it's kind of fair to say then that there should be some non-negotiables, right? Like, right. So physical abuse, cheating, stuff like that, like, yeah, leave, right? But other things, I think what Nuke's saying is kind of along the lines of what Ryan teaches in Dread, which is if you're thinking about leaving your girl because you think she might be a shitty wife or whatever, and you start working on your map, she makes an excellent sparring partner, right? To practice your shit on, because she's seen all your bullshit, right? So if you can run game on your girl again after she's seen all your shit, you're in a better chance when you go into your next relationship. Thor wanted to finish his thought on the physical slapping thing, and then let's go ahead and go around the horn here.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm a little slow in the language thing today. I just wanted to make clarification based on the conversation we had earlier about the slap. I want to be really clear here on how I think about this and how I think the Red Pill thinks about this, at least from my perspective. And what it is you'll find even in our space and in the faith space, if a woman slaps you, somehow it's the man's fault. He set it up. He didn't put any expectation in and all of that sort of stuff. Somewhere it's blaming him. That is extreme feminist viewpoint that should have no place ever inside of our sphere, because that right there, when someone does this and moves, they made that choice, regardless of what you did in the past, whether you set boundaries or not. That is not your fault. Now, that's like saying to a guy whose wife had cheated on him with 6 different guys in the span of 4 weeks, oh, honey, you made me do it because you weren't nice to me, or you didn't do this, or you didn't pay the bill. Somebody made the choice, and it wasn't him, regardless of whatever boundaries he set. This isn't... Now, you may be responsible for not paying attention to this person's personality problems that would lead to violence in that situation. It's really unfair to sit there and say it's your fault. Now, you can take responsibility for yourself, and here's how you do it. When it comes to control of emotions, you cannot control. You need to recognize you can't control any of her emotions. But what you can do is control your emotions and how you react to her emotions. That's the very first step in being able to deal with this sort of thing. And then you can start to actually play chess instead of checkers and always reacting. Anyways, that's what I wanted to finish with.
All right. Let's I know some of you guys want to keep going on this, but I already did an 1.5-hour live stream with Rule Zero, so let's not do a 5-hour live stream today.
Oh, come on. No, I want to do one of Glenn's 24-hour live streams. Or whatever.
You cannot handle 24 hours.
No way.
Let's go around.
You got to work your way up to that.
We'll speaking of 24-hour live streams, we'll start with Glenn. Let's go around the horn here and do our final thoughts and where can people find you online?
You can find me at your mom's house on Saturdays at 11 p.m. till about 11:45, and then after that, no, you guys follow me on my YouTube channel. You guys know where it is. I have been taking some time off lately. I was involved in an accident a couple weeks ago. I've been trying to recoup. Got doctor's appointments, all that good jazz. But I will be back up and doing my regular after-hour show. That's right. I am here for you late night people, you know, insomniac folks. Yes, I'm here for you. We cover a lot of topics: red pill, relationships. We go into religion, piss people off. That's my goal, and I do a pretty good job at it. But we have the conversations that people don't want to have, or that are considered too taboo to discuss, or that are uncomfortable, and we do so in a manner that is respectful. People are allowed to join the conversation and join the panel, and talk things out. Like recently, I just had this racist guy on there, and we were talking about why he's racist, what led to that, and good dialogue. I have no, negative thoughts to the guy after we started talking. I think he's a decent dude. I think he's traumatized, but you wouldn't understand that if you would have just heard him saying I'm racist, and then that's it, you tune him out. So I try to have these uncomfortable conversations with folks. So if you're interested, join, watch the channel, hit the link. Also, yeah, you could find me again, like I said, at your mom's house. Your mom said hi.
Speaking of racists, Red Hawk.
If you guys want to check out most of my work, is just basically on my political company at this point. Check out the Old Glory Club if you guys are more interested in Americana news and all that stuff. Streams on Thursdays.
All right, Nuke.
Yeah, well, I stream tomorrow at 9 p.m. I'll be on Post Zero as well at 10 a.m. Central. You guys want to talk? Come on there. I don't have a topic yet for tomorrow, but I'm coming up and writing notes for it. And yeah, guys, final thoughts is find your covert contracts. Don't be afraid of a woman's emotions. Learn how to be assertive. Remember, having a job, a paycheck, and having muscles doesn't mean your girl's always going to agree with you 24/7 all the time, right? There's a religion that does that, and it's called Islam, and none of us are Islamic that I know of, right? So for the most part, we have to learn how to talk, be assertive, using our, grabbing our balls as men and being like, no. And that is the number one thing that people in this space that follow this stuff, that binge on this stuff, have struggled with, right? They love watching hour-long podcasts about how to be a man, but when it comes to their wife, the woman, even their sister, their mother, any woman in their life, they cannot tell them no, right? And you as a guy need to understand why. Why are you afraid to tell a woman no? And every guy has to figure that out for himself, and it's all you got, the power to say no and the power to walk away. So,
all right, Wraith.
Let's see. I'm in the process of writing one book and starting to write another one. One for Thor, which is going to be on frame, and I'm like 9 chapters in right now. So it's probably everything that I've ever done with frame and all the years of coaching and stuff I've done. So it should be a good learn, and it's also going to have some techniques for how you develop frame. So the other book is mine. It's my if you know anything about me, my thing is masculinity 101. That's going to be the first book I put out for myself. So you want to get a hold of me, I'm on Wraith_Detour on X, Facebook, Telegram, and Instagram. A little bit about the subject. If you're a young man, or even if you're an old man and you're in a situation where you're having problems in your relationships, and that's all your relationships, because if you have problems in your personal relationship, you're probably having problems in your professional relationship. Before you decide to change jobs, before you decide to date another woman, start working on you. Get your stuff straight. You're allowed to have standards. You're allowed to have boundaries. You got to figure out what those are. And part of the frame will help you do that. And everybody else's advice will help you do that. But you've got to start with you. That's all I got, Paul.
All right. Huds. You're on mute, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, not my first rodeo. So, yeah, this topic is very interesting, and I did want to get into at some point, and maybe we do it on a different show, is some of those other tactics that are used, like specifically the silent treatment. So when it comes to the emotions, when you're trying to work through something and or there's something going on, or maybe you don't even know there's anything going on, and then she just goes silent and cold because she wants you to do something for her. That's going to be an interesting one to talk about in the future. But as a whole, what's going on in my world? Well, finally back in mission control, as I call it, back from the trip that I had, and I'm continuing to do the work with everybody here on their books. I'm super excited to see where that's all going to go, because everybody has so many great, grand ideas that are touching literally every different area. When Thor says encyclopedia, that's the truth. It's an encyclopedia where everybody has their own unique experiences in a specific area that then you're going to be able to get anything that you want wherever you're lacking. Outside of that, my Men of Now community is continuing to grow. We are having a lot of fun together. So I will drop the YouTube channel in the chat if you guys want to subscribe. What we're doing is we're doing a complete history of the Manosphere, Red Pill, like how everything came to be where we are today. Last week, because I was gone, we had posted an interview that one of our guys, Renegade Wingman, Josh, went ahead and posted. It was an interview he did with Michael Sartain. And I think everybody here knows who Michael Sartain is. So definitely tune into that. It's like, I think it's like a 30, 40-minute interview, so it's not too long, but lots of great insight in there. And then on top of that, if you do want to join the community, or if you want to join, I mean, there's a lot of different communities here, whether it be Men of Now, whether it be the Dragons, whether it be Beer Club, like definitely take a look at that, because it's all about covering your blind spots. We all have blind spots. Let's be honest about that. And so by being a part of men's communities like this, you really cover, you got your back. You got your back. But great discussion. That's all I got right now.
All right. Mike Steele.
Thank you very much for the gracious invite, as always, today. Taking care of some things, some housekeeping, behind-the-scenes housekeeping. Work is pretty demanding right now. It should calm down around October. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot going on right now. Just kind of feeling some things out and doing some research.
What's this book again? What are you titling
it? So Prosperity, Building a Life from the Ground Up.
I'm excited for that.
Well, thank you. So yes, for those of you who may not have been here at the beginning of the show, I am proud to say that I have accomplished what a lot of people would consider the American dream. The only thing I haven't done yet is bought a house, but that's coming. But basically, I have gone from broke and homeless to making six figures and running a casino here in Las Vegas with no college degree and no student loan debt.
Unbelievable.
That would be a great book. Great book.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll relate to that one.
Yeah, let's go ahead and throw this over to AJ.
1 second. All right. About to drop my links for Twitter and YouTube, as well as the Dragons from Thor, my affiliate link.
Yeah, please use that, guys. That'll get you in, and the meetings are incredible.
Yeah, right there's where you can find me. Right now, I'm focusing on trying to sell this place and finish up the book. I am writing on emotional durability. I think it's something I have coming from an impoverished family, middle child, 2 sisters, going through the Navy, especially the nuclear pipeline, marriage, divorce, dealing with a BPD chick after that, and then an MPD chick after that. So I'm probably one of the best guys that can write about it.
All right. And then Tarl.
Yo, so final thoughts on the topic, because some guys have asked me in the Fresh and Fit Discord how I got my relationship back on track after fucking up for a decade, right? And I've told him, in order to gain the world, I had to be willing to lose the world. So I had to care less about my girl, stop being so invested in outcome, be outcome independent with her, being outcome independent with what could happen to my son. If she didn't have a dad in his life, it was left with her. I had to come to terms with all of that, and I had to be willing to lose all of that before I finally would enforce boundaries truly across the board the way that I needed to get the respect that I deserved, right? Because I didn't deserve it. That was the thing. I wasn't doing those boundaries. All those behaviors that she did, yes, they did have a catalyst for them. And often not enforcing boundaries or having unreasonable expectations were the catalyst for those things spinning out of control and my girl not following her part of the role, right? So it's not to say, make her not culpable for any responsibility, right? But I have to recognize my own shortcomings that led her to those decisions as the leader. Right. At the end of the day, you are the leader of the relationship. And as that guy in that video you guys mentioned before, where he let go of the balloon too soon, clearly he wasn't the leader in that relationship. Clearly, she was one of those women that didn't want his babies. She just wanted babies. And she was the leader. And what happened? She didn't have emotional intelligence. So when her subordinate messed up, she immediately degraded into calling him an idiot and berating him and all this stuff, even though she knew she was being filmed. Couldn't control her emotions. Once again, demonstrating the video that I shared before about emotional intelligence. That being said, that's how I fixed my relationship. To gain the world, I had to lose the world, or be willing to at least. And as they say all the time, that's your power, is to be willing to walk away. So if you want to, find me, there's my YouTube channel and chat. Thank you. And it's been awesome. Always rising tide raises all ships, gentlemen.
Thanks, Tarl.
So my final thoughts on this is one of the biggest things that I see guys argue with me in the comments about is they're very conflict averse. They want to do anything to avoid any possible conflict. And one of the biggest examples I like to give as far as setting the tone and leading a relationship is the debate about where are we going to eat tonight, honey? Right? Because every guy hates that, but every guy is afraid to make a decision because he doesn't want to make his girl upset. He's afraid of her emotions. But you'll find that if you aren't afraid of her emotions and you are just decisive and you say, hey, honey, we're going to get steak tonight, go grab your shoes. 99.99% of the time she's going to say, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. And she'll go grab her shoes. Like, you'll never have an argument, right? And the thing is, a lot of guys are trying to make their wives happy or make their girlfriends happy. One of the things you'll realize is that if you set the tone and lead, that's the closest thing she'll ever get to being happy. But women are never truly happy, are they? So I'll leave you with that. Guys, tune into the podcast Monday. I'm continuing my Book of Puck series. We're on chapters 42 and 43 in the paperback, and they are on feeling down about your love life. Read this, and feminism on trial. And for the love of God, if you are watching this on my channel right now, become a channel member. My goal is to get 10 memberships in 30 days. I have 6. So I only need 4 more. I'm going to drop a link to that in the chat to become a channel member. It's only $2.99 a month. That's 10 cents a day. You get access to all my old episodes. All my new episodes are only free for the first 2 weeks. Then you get access to them. You can continue access to them. And then Jack Napier was kind enough to give me a link to his audiobook of the Book of Puck. You cannot get that on Audible. It doesn't exist. So if you want to listen to the Book of Puck, you can join my membership and get access to Jack Napier's audiobook version of that. It's really good. It's a must-read book in this space. So I'm going to throw this over to Thor. I'll let him take us out. But otherwise, thanks for joining us on the DragonShip today, guys.
Thank you, VP. Paul, it's amazing to have you as the vice president and to help work this. You're definitely an amazing podcaster with a lot of insight. So is everybody here. All the men that are sitting on the DragonShip have their own YouTube channels. Please like on their channel, drop a super chat, subscribe. It's really good. Now, I want to talk about Glenn. He underplayed a little bit today, but he has some blood clot issues, and I am going to just let you know he has to have a double gold filter inserted into one of his arteries. in order to filter out these blood clots so he doesn't have a embolism that goes on. And we don't want him to have an embolism. He's got to get that blood thinned out and definitely get that filter installed. I hope it's a premium filter there, Glenn. But, you know, I know what it's like to lose your income due to medical. At that point, not only do you lose your income during the procedure and the recovery, but you also, you know, you got to get back up to speed, go to work, and then they like to hit you with all of the medical bills and try to just, you know, really wipe you out. And that's what happens here. I think this is probably unavoidable for my long lost Viking son, Glenn. But say your prayers for him. And I just put in GoFundMe because I'm not exactly sure what his recovery is, but during that time, he's not going to have a source of income. So we want to try to at least make it as easy as possible for him to at least have some support. I'm not even sure when that's scheduled, Glenn, but I know it's coming up. So I wanted to mention that. And the project, dang, man, I am so excited about the project because all these men have these amazing experiences in life that feed right into why they are a masculine presence, and they're able to project themselves out into the world and change the reality around themselves to benefit themselves and benefit those around them. I'm benefited just by knowing every man here. So my thanks goes out to them. And certainly it goes out to Huds for project leading. And then our VP helps run this, AJ and Tarl. These guys are jumping in, running the shows. And I see this thing really helping people out and at least giving them the option to enjoy, because a rising tide lifts all ships. And we are that rising tide. Paying it forward to the universe is the way to do it. It comes back to all of us tenfold. So with that, I'm going to take us out. And thank you all for joining the DragonShip. I'll see you guys next time.
Masculinity is in crisis. What are we to do? We need to acquire a dominant masculine presence. Now available on Amazon. Masculinity is in crisis. Men's masculine behaviors and traits have been suppressed by popular culture. Why has it become so popular to shame, guilt, insult, masculinity, and masculine behaviors? After 50 to 70 years of this has resulted in a very large subset of men who have become weak, useless, and crisis. Pathetic state for boys and men that leads to depression and violent despair. A dominant masculine presence addresses this very dilemma for the individual man, and it firmly establishes why this is what is desperately needed by the individual man today. In this book, clearly defined masculine traits and behaviors and the emotional durability provided by traditional masculinity are presented as a guide to what every man should embed into his identity. Putting these principles and behaviors into practice will motivate and direct your path step to step to create for yourself an authentic, dominant masculine presence.